Hi friends, welcome back to Devil's Advocate, the critical thinking channel. I just first of all want to say thank you to everybody who's engaging and subscribing and liking my videos. I'm over the moon, I really am. And I love that we can have like critical conversations about what's going on in girl world, just really maturely. And we can appreciate that people have other opinions and stuff. I love seeing that on this channel. And I really appreciate all of you for keeping to that and understanding what this community is about. And I am very grateful to every single one of you. Today, I am going to be reacting to the Studio Deetz quote unquote apology video. I do have to say that I don't know what their pronouns are. I have tried to find it. I tried to find it for a previous video, so I will be referring to them as them just to be safe. But if anybody does know the pronoun, please let me know. Yeah, I'm going to do my best to stick to them and they for this video. So this video was called The Reckless Mouth and the Not So Secret Discord. And she put this out a little while after the whole controversy began. It's a it's very interesting video to watch for sure. I do want to put a little trigger warning out. She does show a little bit of the DV video between Amber and Emily. It's only a few seconds, but obviously if people were triggered by it the first time around, then, just be careful going into it now. Your mental health matters more, so please just look after yourself. Studio Deetz apology video was probably the most controversial one, so I think it's quite important to kind of get into it. I'm going to put how I feel about it, and I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on it as we go through. And yeah, so let's begin going through the video now.
I just wanted to let you know I will be putting some timestamps in the description down below if there's any specific topics you want to jump to. We got a lot to talk about, and I want to make sure that you have all of the information. We are going to be talking about the whole super secret Discord thing today and how I've been involved and how I've not been involved. My whole story, because it seems to have become news. I really don't have a whole lot to tell, but I do have an experience. And if you guys want to hear that from me, I do not mind sharing it because I really don't have anything to hide. It's been interesting. And it's definitely been a learning experience. And I want to try and get the whole thing out in one go. If there's anything I need to follow up with, maybe I'll probably just try and keep it to the community tab. And I will say also, this is my first time going through something kind of like this, this degree of feedback, some of it decent, fair feedback, and, the spectrum all the way to hate in big numbers for me, for my size channel, right? It's not something I've experienced before. Let's just leave it at that. And, I needed a moment. I needed a moment to like collect myself. I'm not a full-time creator. I would love to be at some point, but I'm not. And I was spending time with my family over the weekend. I'm just not making videos all day, every day. And I needed a minute, I needed to reflect.
I totally understand like needing time to reflect on what you're going to say because you don't want to be in Rachel's situation now where you've just like made the whole situation worse. Like I totally get that. In any kind of situation where I have an argument with somebody or a debate with somebody, I do tend to walk away and reflect on what I'm going to say because I can be quite impulsive with how I come across. So I do appreciate that aspect of things. But at the same time, the way she's talking about it already in the beginning of this video, like the way she's like her voice is sounding, like you guys want me to address this Discord, like, so I'm gonna do it. Like, it's almost like we're being stupid already, like, it's nothing, and that, like, we are making the problem for her rather than her addressing what she's said. I don't know if you guys felt that way. I already feel like attacked by, by just wanting answers to something that everybody else is answering apart from Deetz at this point. And it's very strange that she's come in with that attitude off the bat, considering how it's worked out for everybody since the Discord controversy. But yeah, let's carry on.
Oh my god, sorry, I'm just thinking of that. I will reflect. I will reflect. But I did. I needed a minute. Kind of gather myself.
Sorry, but did Studio Deetz just use a snippet of a DV video as a joke for a pun she made in this video where she's apologizing for her shitty behavior? Like, that is wild. And the laugh, like the little laugh after, like, oh yeah, that was a really funny part of that DV video. Like, that is wild. That says all I need to know about them, really, because that's actually blown my mind. That's actually blown my mind. That's not cool. That's not okay at all. You do not use the DV story as a joke in an apology video. What are you thinking?
And then be able to think more clearly about it all. I definitely feel I've gotten there at this point, and I'm ready to say it all. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm gonna ramble quite a bit in this video. I'm not going to apologize for that part. I think if everybody wants to know my side of the story, I'm going to tell it in full. And I don't have a script today because I'm really just telling my own story, so I know it by heart. And I do have ADHD, so I might get a little bit scattered. I might go on tangents. And that's why having a script actually generally helps me. It, keeps me on task, on target. But if I had tried to script this, it would have taken me probably 2 weeks to get this video out because I'd start trying to make it perfect. So I figured being a little bit rambly is better than waiting 2 weeks to get a video out. So that's kind of my thought process on that.
I'm not sure how you guys feel about that. I think if they have ADHD and it's that bad, then maybe waiting to have a proper scripted think through about the Discord and what you want to say might have been the better option. Yes, people would have had to have waited, but would have had a better outcome than the situation they are in now. And maybe the bit of the DV video wouldn't have made the cut because they would have realised that that is just wildly inappropriate in any video ever. So yeah, and also ADHD. I know people with ADHD. I've worked with people with ADHD. I totally understand that it can scatter your brain and like your thinking, but it's not an excuse for this video and for bad behavior in any way. That's you. That's not your illness. We've said it all about Anne Boleyn. Like Anne Boleyn goes, "Oh, I have BPD. This is why I do this. I have BPD. So why I do that." And Studio Deetz has just said, "I have ADHD, and that's why this is like this." So it's all Anne Boleyn coded. Like, and they're the first one to pick up when Anne Boleyn's doing stuff. They're the first one to scream Darvo when she's doing stuff, but to use the ADHD in the way Anne Boleyn uses BPD, that's not okay.
I'm sorry it's not even going to be that great, but it's what I got. It is my story, and I will tell it to you in full. Where to begin? Here's how I joined the super secret Discord that, to me, was literally just the first Discord I've ever been invited to. It was very much a small group of people in a Discord who were inviting me to join them and talk about Gort World. And the reason that they invited me in the first place, it was about a month into when my channel was being attacked and I was getting all of those privacy complaints. And it was that was also a really tough time. I felt strong and solid in my strategy and what I was doing. Yes, I did feel confident in those moments, but it was also very exhausting. And the moral support that was, you know, kind of being extended to me via this invitation, oh man, it was really welcome. And
So for those of you who don't know Deetz that well or are unaware of what they're talking about here, they have their channel struck with a load of privacy strikes at one point. It was quite a lot of them. It was really affecting the channel, and the assumption was it was Amber Lynn. I think they even insinuated it was Amber Lynn, but whether it was or wasn't, who knows? There's no real proof either way. It all kind of happened when the Aunt Tammy stuff was going on as well. So it all kind of coincided, and that's kind of how all this stuff has escalated into what it is now. But they definitely were struggling during that time with their content and with their audience and what they could and couldn't put out. So then, yeah, I imagine this Discord group would have reached out. They were all bigging up Studio Deetz as well, trying to get more engagement on their channel at that point. So, which is understandable. But yeah, that must have been when they got involved with this Discord. And I don't think there's problems or issues with that now, but there was definitely a lot of strikes going on then with Studio Deetz.
I have to say, it was so nice to kind of be accepted into this really small group. Honestly, let's talk size for a second. So I get the feeling when I see all of these videos covering this, but people think this is a much larger server than it was. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but that's just the feeling I get. And I want to say that this was actually a very small Discord. From my experience and in the time that I was in there, which was a very short amount of time, I would say there were like 10-ish people active at the time. 10, 12 maybe. And then there were absolutely a few more people who were inactive, never participated in any of the conversations, but were still there in the server. But yeah, it was really small. Like, it wasn't just one of these, 500 people, 800, 1,500 people servers where everyone is still kind of a stranger. It was the opposite. And am I naive to have thought of it as a safe space? Yes. Yeah, that is definitely a big lesson I am taking away from this experience. I had never been in a Discord before. This was my very first time. I am an elder millennial who really just hasn't gotten into Discord. Here I am, really needing the moral support and also feeling like, I am still such a tiny channel and I'm getting an invitation into this small group of Grow World people.
Yeah, I mean, getting invited into a Discord with a lot of much larger channels, like that would obviously be kind of like a boost at that time, and that's probably why they did it, because they knew if they could get Deetz under the wing at that point, that, they would be a part of, like, everything. Like, they would all be the group distributing the information to the smaller groups, like in that eco study video, and sending out the message they want to send out. That's kind of like how gangs get you, isn't it? Or cults. Maybe they are a cult. Yeah, the cult of Girl World. Maybe that eco study's got a point. Like, these are the cult leaders. They find the vulnerable people, take them into this Discord, and treat them like they belong to get them to do what they want them to do. That's very interesting. Let me know what you think about that. That was kind of just like what I picked up from this situation. I wonder if you feel the same.
I had no idea who any of them were other than a few reactors in there that obviously, I knew them from their videos. And then there were some other people who I had never met ever. And this was my first time getting to know individuals, as well as I didn't know their histories, right? Their histories together on this server, their history together on other servers, if there was any. I didn't know any of that. I was just coming in. Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. And they offered me a ton of moral support. It was mostly after all of the privacy complaint stuff happened. Yeah, it was early September that I got invited into there.
I think what was interesting there is when they said, and other servers, and then jumped and said, well, maybe other servers. So I think Studio Deetz knows more than they're letting on in this video. I feel like that was a fraudulent slip, and there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than one Discord, perhaps. Interesting.
So, yeah, most of that first month, it was mainly just me kind of getting to understand who was in there, getting to know the people, catch the vibe, see how people interacted. I would say I probably didn't interact a ton, but I was interested in getting to know these people and giving it a real go and seeing if I liked it. So I was definitely participating. And yeah, as I said, I mean, this was a pretty small group of people. We would be chatting on and off all day and all hours because of time differences in the world. And kind of just depended who was awake, and we were just chatting. That's it. It was actually really nice to be in there. It was not a lot of shit talking, honestly. You guys have seen 8 screenshots? Out of how many could there possibly have been from that time period? I'm not going to say blame it on the edit, those didn't happen, but I will say that it felt very curated, really, to make us look the worst we could look. Because the vibe you get from those screenshots, that there are definitely not great things said in there. I'm not going to talk about what other people said, but the one thing you saw me say, I will talk about in a little bit, but I will get there. Probably not my best moment.
That was very interesting, the way Deetz worded that then. They've taken a few screenshots to try and make us look as bad as possible, and for their story. That just sounds so similar to what all these reaction channels have been doing for so long. It's funny how all of these creators don't like it when it's happened to them, but are happy to do it to people like Amber Lynn. It's very interesting that they don't see the correlation between the two behaviors. I know Amber Lynn's not a great person, but I don't know. I guess I wouldn't be saying these things knowing that I'm pretty much doing exactly the same thing that they do to Amber all the time. It's just very weird, the disconnect there between the two things.
So, as I said, we'll talk about that in a minute. However, the point I want to make right now is that truly was such a small part of the whole conversation that would happen in there. The entire snapshot of what people are seeing of this Discord really doesn't represent it well. Did it happen? Yes. Does it represent the Discord? No, I really, truly, it just doesn't. Hey, this is Future Deetz again. I just wanted to come back and mention one more thing about this. One of the unfortunate parts of all this is that because that server was blown up, it doesn't exist anymore. And there's no way for any of us to go back in there and take other screenshots to share all of the really nice conversations that were happening. It's easy to cherry pick some of the worst things in a place that's actually really great overall, and then turn it around so that it looks like a really bad, mean girls kind of place to be, which it wasn't. I wouldn't have stayed there if it were, but I can't prove it. It's gone. I can't go in and show you that.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, allegedly that Discord is gone, completely. But you'd think somebody like Rachel would have taken screenshots of everything. Considering she has everybody else's screenshots as well, you would think that she would have been recording everything that's going on in case something like this happened. So I think it's wild that we've not heard any more information from Rachel, to be honest, especially when she was threatening Salty Crab, saying about her being in the Discord. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are more screenshots out there. Charlie Gold says she's got them, but isn't going to release any more than she has. I find that odd as well. I don't really know why that is. Why start it if you're not going to finish it? But that's just me. Yeah, so there's got to be some screenshots out there.
So as I'm in there, not only are they offering me some moral support as I'm kind of coming out of the other side of all the privacy complaints and everything, but we're sitting in there and telling each other when anybody is online. Amber's on, and then we'll kind of chat together as we watch separately. Like we, want to make a comment, we comment to each other. Make a little, oh my god, like, did I hear that right? Did Amber just compare herself to Anne Frank? Like stuff like that. Mostly. Still don't know these people. Let's be real. I don't want to come off as parasocial here because I know that we don't know each other. That's where I was at with this group. Before I get into the drama of it all, I do want to say this. I know that a lot of people have said there's no such thing as a private Discord, and I would be and have been naive to think anything else. Okay, there are just a couple of things that I want to say about that. The first thing about it is that this was something that you had to be invited to. It wasn't publicly open and available. Only, I think, 1, maybe 2 people had the ability to offer invites. I couldn't invite anybody if I wanted to. So I don't think this can be compared to, for instance, sharing comments that somebody left on a public-facing YouTube video, like I do sometimes, right? Those comments are left there knowing that they are in full public view and will be seen by absolutely anyone who wants to see them because they're there publicly.
I saw somewhere that Deetz had actually commented on Obese YouTube video about the comments made in the Discord. I couldn't actually find that comment because I was going to try and put it in the video, but apparently it said something along the lines of they didn't call him an idiot. And it's true, they didn't call him that. People have said that they did. He made a whole video about being the popular idiot, and has merch, which is hilarious. But yeah, it definitely wasn't Deetz that called him an idiot. Deetz did say that his video was crap, which also is not okay. I feel like she's starting to make herself sound more like a victim now than actually taking accountability. I don't know what you think.
Whereas this you had to be invited to. It is not the same thing when there's only 1 or 2 people who have even the power to extend an invitation to enter this server. It does say private. Even if there are people out there saying no Discord is private, technically this was a private Discord server. Only a couple people can send invites. I don't see that being public, okay? That could be getting into semantics, but honestly, I really don't even think that's semantics. I think that's reality. It's just that people seem to think it's normal to make that public anyway. What I see is this normalization of behavior, of no server is private. Just makes it something that happens often. It doesn't actually make it okay. I honestly did feel violated seeing what I thought were private conversations being put in all of these videos across YouTube. I mean, just...
That is actually absolutely laughable, considering Deetz literally put a clip of a privately recorded, secret from the person who it was about, DV video in the beginning of this actual video as a joke to ease the tension, I guess. But made a joke about the DV video in the beginning of this actual apology video, and then to say that things that I've said in private, I actually feel violated because they're all over YouTube. That is just, whew, I'm gonna have to calm myself down because that is just, that's vexing as hell. That is just something like, how are you not relating it? And they must have edited this video. They must have edited this video, like, and added the clips and stuff in after. So it makes no sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. It's okay for you to put a snippet of a secretly recorded DV video in the beginning of an apology video, something that you're not involved in that situation at all. And one of the people didn't know they were being recorded, which is now all over YouTube. And then for you to say that you felt violated because your private messages were now on YouTube, make it make sense, Deetz. Make it make sense, because that is just, that's insane that you can't even see the contradiction there. Like, that is just, wow. That's a whole different level of delirious.
Put yourself in those shoes of, man, I literally thought I was just speaking to some, relatively new acquaintances, and one of them did this. One of them took screenshots of our conversations that we thought were private, naively, and made them public. And yes, I was naive. I'll take that lesson, and I will walk away with that for sure from this entire experience. Don't be so naive. Don't think it's a safe space, because no space is a safe space, I guess, on the internet. And I think that's also just really sad. I think it doesn't make it okay to do that.
And yet you are literally doing it right now in this video. Like, just, there are no words. There are no words at all about this. I'm kind of understanding why their video was probably the most controversial one, because yeah, there are so many contradictions already in this, and they're laying themselves out in a victim narrative when actually it seems to be just proving that they are the mean girl in the situation. They are a mean girl. That's all I have to say.
I mean, I really do feel like my privacy was violated. So whether you agree with that or not, fine. We're allowed to disagree on that. But it is how I feel. I still don't know, by the way. I don't know who it is.
Sorry, Deetz. I feel like we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one, because this is making you look terrible. Making you look absolutely awful. I just can't believe, like, you would have watched this video back and not once did you go, do you know what? I probably shouldn't have added that video clip in. And I probably shouldn't be saying that, since my whole job has been delving into someone else's personal life and getting their messages. And yeah, being a part of a shady mean girl Discord. I don't know. That's just me, I guess.
And I'm not in the business of assuming that I do. I wasn't in there very long. I don't know everybody that well. And I don't know. I don't know who may or may not be more likely to do something. Yeah, it just makes me really sad. It makes me sad that somebody did this. All right, let's get talking about Emily and that drama, right? Because then what I said, what's in the screenshot, comes after that. So I'm just going to go kind of in chronological order here, and we will eventually get there. It's like I wish I had the server to go look back in so I could really give a better timeline of events, but I can't because it's just not there to do that anymore. And then I could take screenshots of all the really nice things that we talked about, and about other people, about each other, kind and supportive. Honestly, it was mostly very lovely.
I mean, they might not have the screenshots of other messages, but again, maybe they could have added a bit of context into the ones that were there. Or like I say, even try and get the rest of the screenshots of somebody else. Like, I imagine Rachel just seems like someone who's always trying to cover her back. So maybe getting screenshots from her. I imagine she has them all. I imagine just in case she got thrown under the bus, she would be ready. She definitely, from what I've seen, seems like somebody who's always prepared for that. And if you're all such good friends, then maybe asking her for the screenshots so you could have talked about it a bit better. I mean, I don't know. But then on the other side of that, maybe you wanted to stay away from that group entirely now, which is also understandable. But yeah, you could definitely have added some context into the screenshots we already have from Charlie Gold. But yeah, trying to make yourself out to be like your privacy has been violated, etc. It doesn't really fly considering the private videos and screenshots with Emily that you've passed around on your channel.
And beyond the kindness to each other, we tended to disagree a whole lot in that space. And not in a way where we were fighting about things, but in a way where it was a safe space to disagree like adults and not turn around and attack each other for our differing opinions, okay? It was a place where it was a sounding board, and if somebody said something that anybody disagreed with, that person would speak up about it and say, hey, maybe look at it from this point of view. We did not agree on everything. And just because one person in a group does something, that doesn't mean the rest of the group co-signs that behavior or that action. And that's exactly what happened here.
This may or may not be true, but with the screenshots we have seen of this Discord, and with Rachel saying about wiping her tears with banknotes and about flirting with Emily, there wasn't much protest going on from anybody in those screenshots from what I can remember. There were the occasional comments about her flirting with Emily, but no, I don't remember seeing a comment from anybody specifically saying, like, I don't agree with you. I mean, Hexacana said that he said that, but it didn't come across that way in that message. In that message, it was like, I'm going to say I disagreed with you. He didn't say, I actually disagree with you, and I'm going to put that in my video. And there was no messages on there from anybody else protesting the situation. Instead, they were just like egging her on about the snowflake method. So yeah, I didn't see much of that going on. But we didn't see all the messages, I suppose. But the ones we have seen, which are the ones that are important, not one person was going, Rachel, this is a bad idea. So, yeah.
We would talk about current events, past events, ask questions, get context, learn things from each other. Hey, do you remember when this happened, when Amber, was attacked by a goose? Something like that, right? And we'd find links for each other or give each other information that we could remember offhand. It feels like a lot of people think we were really just like all making this stuff for Rachel together, like as a group and making decisions, which is wild because it is so not what happened. Yes, there was a lot of back and forth, right? Rachel, that was a lot. She got a lot of stuff. Rachel wasn't sharing with us everything she talked about, especially as it was happening. Like, she might come in and be like, hey, we talked about this a couple days ago. Here's some screenshots of that conversation. And specifically when we want to talk about the payments and all of the money exchanged, not exchanged with Rachel and Emily, Rachel did not bring that information about all of that conversation, the payments and all that, until after it had happened. Like, both events, saying she would pay her to the saying she was no longer going to pay her. All of that had already happened by the time Rachel brought it to the Discord.
You may not have signed off on everything that Rachel did, but I feel like you're all happy to push that narrative, though, in your videos. So it does kind of look like you all agreed with it, else you wouldn't have made videos about it, right? And you wouldn't have put the screenshots in the videos and stuff. Yeah, so it did come across like everybody was kind of like involved with getting the screenshots and stuff, and that may or may not be the case. But like I say, there's no evidence in those screenshots that we've seen that anybody was protesting either. And even after the money situation, all we got was jokes about like, really loving the snowflake method and stuff. So there really isn't any proof that everybody didn't know about the payments and, weren't agreeing with Rachel in that Discord.
We had absolutely no knowledge about it happening when it was happening. It had already happened. And our reaction was actually not a very good one. I think almost everybody else in the server had a pretty ooh, that's not good, Rachel kind of response. We didn't love that at all. And I remember myself throughout all of this time while Rachel was working on these videos with Emily, I said it at least twice. This is a person we cannot trust. And I think that I was very loud and very clear about that. And, Rachel, she is a big girl making her own content on her own channel, and she can choose to listen to us or not. So just because, there was me in the room saying, don't trust Emily, or somebody else saying, maybe you should consider doing this, or maybe you could consider doing that, Rachel didn't have to listen to any of that. We offered our opinions. She took what she wanted and didn't take what she didn't want. That's how this works. She's an adult.
But again, sorry to repeat myself, but there was no evidence of that in any of those screenshots. If anything, it just looked like people were egging her on in that situation. So, yeah, it may have happened, it may not have happened, and we've only seen one comment in all of those screenshots from Studio Deetz, and it wasn't a very good comment, but it was only one. And so we don't really know how Rachel's context is coming in to that situation, or Deetz's for that matter. So until we see more screenshots, I don't know if we're ever going to get more. Like I say, Rachel implied that there was a lot more showing other people were involved. Whether she's actually going to bring those out and we see more of the context, who knows? But until then, we've only got what we've got.
That's it, and that's truly my involvement. That is the extent of my involvement in what happened with Rachel and Emily. I think that kind of concludes the chapter on my involvement with the Emily and Rachel situation. That is her gig. I just knew about it after it happened, but before you. Yeah. So I think I personally need a corgi cam. It is getting big and heavy and harder to talk about as we go. So let's take a little break.
Sorry, I skipped the corgi cam stuff because I'm more interested in the story, and I feel like she used the corgi for the sympathy vote, and that's not what I'm interested in. Her dog is very cute, by the way, but just to save time, I've skipped that bit.
So, okay, so timeline-wise, that comes after... Was there a date on it? Hang on. This was pretty late in the timeline. Although this screenshot has yesterday at 7:17 p.m., which doesn't give me an actual date. We do know that it was the same day as a Beast of Beast video, I guess. So, yeah, because that had been posted 5 hours before this. So whatever day that was when this happened. God. All right. And obviously the drama had really kicked off because Obese is not what I would call someone who is one of the main reaction channels, because he also does other types of content. So I have been watching Obese for probably about, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years at this point. I think he's like a nice seeming guy. He's pretty kind overall to people. I enjoy his takes for the most part. I don't agree with all of them, but that's natural, and I don't have to. And there have even been times in the past where I thought that his videos really just didn't have all the information it should have had, given what he was speaking about. Like, it was really missing some of the context that should have been there, in my opinion. And so I've gone in and said exactly that. Like, hey, I don't think you were actually aware, but this also happened.
Yeah, I did try and find her comment in the Beast to Beast video comment section, but I couldn't see it anywhere. So if anybody does have a copy of it or knows exactly how they worded that, that would be amazing because I feel like it might have been worded differently to what they're saying in this video. I'd be interested to know. Thank you.
Thing. I don't watch his channel all the time. I don't watch all of his videos, but I do watch a good amount of them. However, that doesn't mean I need to love all of his content. Now, does that make it okay in hindsight looking at it? No, I don't love it. I don't love that I use that word. And if I had thought that this was a public-facing thing, I would not have used the word crap. I wouldn't have. However, I don't necessarily feel that it's that terrible to have an opinion about another creator's content. I didn't go after Obese to Beast personally. And honestly, I sit here on this channel, for the most part, doing exactly that, is giving my opinions on other creators' content.
You're contradicting yourself again there because you literally just said that you would not have called his stuff crap if if you thought it was a private Discord, which just goes to show that you knew what you were saying in that Discord and you meant what you said in that Discord, but you would have worded it differently if you knew it was public. And yeah, like it's okay not to like other people's content, but it's not okay to just completely slate it in that way. Like all creators are different for sure. People like different things, and there's plenty of other channels for like everybody's needs really on the whole of the internet. But to totally downplay it and not even like address it properly, and then to say that you would not have used that word if you didn't think it was private, kind of just shows your personality in private, in my opinion. So I feel like you showed your true colors in that statement.
And so part of me is very much like, well, I don't know that having an opinion in a Discord on somebody's video is really any different than having an opinion on somebody's video on my channel. It would be a different story if I was attacking Obese to Beast as a person. I didn't like the way he looked. I didn't like the way he cut his hair, or what city he lived in, or why he moved across the country. Making bad decisions, bad guy. Like, I never said any of that because I don't think it. All right, Future Deetz here once again, and it has come to my attention that people have mistakenly believed that I called Obese to Beast an idiot, which I absolutely did not do. The only thing that I said in any of these screenshots was that I thought a 20-minute video could never capture all of the information that had happened and gone on in this very complex situation with Rachel and Emily. That's it. I did not call him an idiot. Somebody else did, but it wasn't me, so I don't think I should be blamed for that language. It wasn't me. Let's focus on the things I did do. Did I do something a little bit rude? Yes, and let's talk about that. Since I wrote that, I have watched that video, and I still agree with that sentiment, to be perfectly honest. Do I wish I had said crap? No, I don't. I wish I had not. But again, I did. And so I do apologize for the fact that I used that word. It's not a nice word.
Again, it's like twisting the meaning of what was actually written in that Discord that we can see for ourselves as clear as day. Studio Deetz said that they didn't think that the message can be conveyed in a 20-minute video, when actually what was written was a 20-minute video could never actually cover what happened, which automatically means it's crap. Saying it's crap is saying that somebody's video is crap. That is literally what you've written there. Like, clear as day. You did not say it couldn't convey the information. You said automatically means it's crap. And you're just completely avoiding that. avoidance is apparently a big thing in girl world. Who knew?
I could have definitely been nicer in the way that I stated that. However, at the end of the day, I would still state that same opinion, just deliver it a lot differently in person, right? So when I first saw the screenshot, that was shared with me on it and what I had said, I said, okay, let me try and see this from other people's perspective. Let's remove everything else from this storyline. What if I'm the tea? What if this thing that I said was all of the tea there was? That was the whole thing that Charlie's video was about. It was me saying this. How are people going to respond to that? And to tell you the truth, I just didn't see people having the reaction to that you have now had, that people have had. So that's why I think I was really surprised when those comments and the DMs on Instagram really started coming in, calling me all sorts of things. I'm like, oh, damn, I'm watching my subscriber count go down a lot. And I was like, wow, damn, damn.
Okay, so let's start with, it is never acceptable to verbally abuse people in the way that Deetz has been, how she's feeling about that. But then also Deetz needs to think, well, that's Amber Lynn's life. Everything that comes out of Deetz and Snowflakes and Rachel's and Hectorcana's and Jawbones and a few of the other bigger reaction channels' mouths, like whether it's true or not, factual or not, the narrative they're sending out ultimately falls into Amber's DMs and Amber's comments, Amber's counts, and whether that situation is true or not. So maybe having a reevaluation of how you're coming across to your viewers and across as a reactor, might be the way to go. Have a little think about how other people might feel when you're spreading secret messages about them and telling people things that aren't necessarily facts because you're only hearing one side of a story. And maybe just have a little word with yourself about that, because the way this is coming across is that you're the victim in this, when actually there are other people involved and there are other victims in this situation. You're definitely not it.
And if there's any chance that Obese to Beast sees this video, I'm sure there is no way, because why would he? Obese to Beast, I am actually quite sorry that I used that language to describe one of your videos. It wasn't fair. It wasn't very nice. Okay, how do I want to wrap this up? Let's talk Fallout, okay? Let's talk about when I first saw that this information had leaked, when I first learned about it, and kind of what my personal reaction to it was. I learned about this, honestly, probably a bit later than it actually happened. At this point in my career here, I am not a full-time creator. I had less than 10,000 subs, and at this point, I give a lot fewer than that. I lost a lot of people, so it's their prerogative. I get it. I'm not complaining necessarily. I'm just saddened by it. I've just been a little bit slower to respond than maybe, a full-time content creator might be able to be. I am open to criticism fully. I am an artist, and my entire life and career has been nothing but feedback. It's not a problem for me, but I do want that feedback to be feedback on what has actually happened, what I actually did, an action I made, something I created. And what I saw happening feels really disproportionate to my actions. The feedback I've been getting and the types of comments I've been getting, they've been full of assumptions, false accusations, very unkind words. I don't need to talk about it at length. I just want to say it's really been disappointing to have this action, right? Sure, maybe you're disappointed in me. I get it. I do. For that to unleash the type of comments and accusations and slurs that have been coming at me has really just been very disproportionate and unfounded, honestly. Very, very disappointing, very hurtful. I'm not trying to get out of accountability or your feedback in any way. I'm just trying to say I wish that the fallout and the feedback and the name calling and the whole response just felt more in line with the actions that I actually took, which was one kind of rude opinion about a video.
They're absolutely right. There is no need for the slurs and the bullying, etc., to anybody online or anyone who's been online. I've never agreed with that. I don't like that, and I don't promote that on this channel at all. I don't think I've ever really had any comments like that regarding people I've talked about, and that's really good. That's exactly what I want. I want us to be able to talk and contribute, you know, like adults and not call each other names, just to be able to have different opinions and conversations. That's very good. So slurs towards other creators, I don't encourage. I don't think that's appropriate. In this video, though, it's very interesting how Deetz has now flipped it back on the audience. So we've just literally seen Darva in action from Deetz in this whole video. Um, she denies any wrongdoing or minimalized it at the beginning, kind of was a bit patronizing about it, making it sound like it was nothing. She attacks her audience, saying that, like, basically they're misreading it, they're the problem. And then reverse victim offender, where she then portrays herself as the victim, like she's done now, which, again, the name calling and that, no, I won't justify that in any way. But now we are the ones that are blowing out of proportion. We are the problem, not them. That's classic Darvo, and it's quite funny to see that from Deetz when Deetz preaches about Amber's doing Darvo.
It's just hurtful. It is. It's hurtful. And I did choose this life, and I'm going to continue choosing this life. I enjoy making videos, and I really enjoy the production side as well as the storytelling part. Yeah, I guess I just want everybody to know that I have absolutely learned some things from this experience. We'll move forward without so much naivete as far as, discords and how trustworthy I can be of people there. I will definitely consider all of the word choices I use moving forward, no matter what the audience or who the audience is, how large it is. I think that's important to remember. I feel pretty beat up. I'm pretty exhausted. I don't know how much energy I'm going to have for the comment section, to be perfectly honest, in the next few days, but I did have some other videos I had planned to make today and tomorrow. I don't know. I'm definitely going to be putting those off just a little bit while I, collect myself, regain some energy. So, I will see you soon. I hope that the things I have said have come across feeling authentic, because that is what they are. I'm not trying to protect anybody. I am not trying to make excuses for anything. I am really trying to offer the full story with all the context of my experience, and I hope some of you stick around. I'd like to continue doing this. I have a lot of fun. Maybe we'll throw a real corgi cam in here. I did get some footage from the other day. It was a really nice day. And if I do see you again, I look forward to it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.
So the end of this video was just a few minutes of dog walking, etc., which I have left out again just for time and because it's not really relevant to the situation. Yeah, I think Deetz did a terrible job of making a quote unquote apology video. I think, they would have looked back and seen how they come across, and I don't understand how they're so disconnected from what they're saying and what Girl World is like and the reality of it all. I don't agree with the bullying and the slurring, like and the harassment at all for any of the creators. I do think it's interesting that Deetz actually is the only one still making content currently. Hexacana's now gone, I think. Jawbone hasn't been seen. Rachel's not made content for a while. I think Snowflake's still going, but I don't think it's very good. I'm not subscribed, so I'm not sure what's happening there. But yeah, Deetz is the only one who's currently still making context and still going out of all of these Discord group. But yeah, I just think we basically just got darvoed by Deetz. That kind of sums up the whole video, really. And she basically, like, it was completely amber coded as well to play victim in the situation and not even really understand what they're saying and how it's coming across, and downplaying the whole group chat comment. Yeah, it was one comment, but they really downplayed that. And then the sad music kicked in, which I found really absurd. And then to put in a snippet of a DV video and use it as a joke, and then say that they hate having their privacy violated is just absolutely bonkers. I still can't believe that happened. Whew, that was very vexing. That was a wild ride. I'm really interested to know what you think of the not apology video from Deetz. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for being here and watching my videos and engaging. I live for it. I love it so much. I'm so grateful to every single one of you. And yeah, I would love to know what your thoughts are on the Deetz video, and what do you think's going to happen now? People have disappeared. Are they coming back? Who knows? How do you think Deetz should have approached this video differently? Obviously, I've said how I feel in this video, but I'm interested to know like what you would have liked to hear her say. Sorry would have been good. Sorry would have been a good thing. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.